Hi everyone! So now we're going to go over assignment 3 and 4. These assignments are interviews with elders from OCN. So assignment 3 is an interview that I conducted with Mabel Bignell in 2007. I was taking a course at UCN that was about traditional stories, and a part of that course was that I had to interview an elder and listen to some traditional stories and teachings. And that's what I did with Mabel. And Mabel was kind enough to sit down with me and share some of her knowledge. What you'll be reading is a transcript of that interview. As you read it, you'll notice that it's broken down into what she says and what I say, as opposed to paragraph writing and nice quotation marks and sentences. You'll also notice that sometimes it's hard to read and follow along with what someone is trying to say. When we're speaking to people, we don't speak in proper English that we would on a paper. We skip over words, we repeat words, we forget what we were saying mid-sentence, and we fill voids with ums. So as you're reading, you'll notice it. It can be distracting, but as you're reading, imagine that she's sitting in front of you, speaking to you. It makes it a lot easier to read. Before I conducted the interview, I messaged her and we talked, and she said yes, we would do the interview. But when I got to her house, I went there with a pouch of medicine and a tea that I brought her. When you are receiving traditional knowledge or asking of something from a knowledge keeper, an elder, common protocol is to offer them a gift, and I offered her a pouch of tobacco and sage and cedar. You offer it before you ask. This shows your goodwill and that you respect their knowledge and that you respect that they have a choice in whether they want to share it or not. So even though we had already talked and she agreed to meet, I still offered her the gift before we sat down and before she shared any knowledge. I offered it to her and she took it, and that was her cue that she was willing to share her knowledge with me. I also brought her a tea from Timmy's because I knew she liked it. So we sat down, and you'll notice that the interview starts without a formal introduction. That was because the second I sat down, she was so eager to share that she just immediately started. I didn't even get to press record on the button, so I missed a few seconds of the interview, so that's why there's not a formal introduction. So she shares some knowledge about Wasagi Jack, and she also shares a story about seagulls and ravens and how the seagulls tricked the ravens with the help of Wasagi Jack. It's a really cool story, and I think you'll really like it. I had a lot of fun interviewing her, and I hope you enjoy this reading. Once you're done that reading, answer the questions, and then you can move on to assignment 4. So assignment 4 is again an interview, but now it's with the late elder Albert Cowley. I'm not exactly sure the date that this interview was conducted. It's not written on the interview, but I can tell that it's a fairly old interview by the way it was typed. It was typed with a typewriter. We don't use those anymore, but it's still a really neat piece of OCN history from an OCN elder. So he doesn't share any traditional stories, but he does share some basic information about himself and about life on OCN and his jobs and just his life in general. And his information provides a nice snapshot into what OCN was like before. He was born in 1918 and lived here his whole life. Although it's not a very long interview, I think you'll really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's interesting to see what OCN elders share about their life growing up on OCN. So again, read that interview, answer the questions for assignment 4, and then you're done that. So again, I know I sound like a broken record. Don't forget to reach out if you need any help. I want to see you succeed. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Bye!